Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to USC Lancaster's Monday Auditorium and this year's Candidates Forums. What a great opportunity to hear our candidates' positions on numerous issues in such a wonderful setting. I'm John McCain, President and CEO of the Lancaster County Chamber of Commerce, and we are happy to be hosting this event in partnership with the Lancaster News. As a reminder, tonight's forum focuses only on contested races in the Lancaster area.
I am Evangeline Hundley, running for South Carolina's 5th Congressional District, and I'm running to represent the great people of 10 counties in my district. I was born and raised in Newberry, South Carolina, so I'm a child of South Carolina, and I love my state. I'm a child of a barber shop owner and a high school teacher. My mother taught during segregation, and she taught during integration. My dad opened the first Black-owned barbershop in the city of Newberry, South Carolina. I'm a wife, and I'll recognize my husband, Ronald Hundley, who's here with me, biggest supporter and fan. And we are parents of 3 adult children, and I have 3 grandchildren. So this is my second time running for this office. It was not an easy decision the first time, and certainly wasn't the second. But during my first run for this office, I had a platform that I wanted to see the people in my state, and that includes everybody in this room, to be healthier, wealthier, and wiser. Well, that hasn't changed in 2024. It's still my desire to see the people in this state be healthier, wealthier, and wiser. But this time, guys, I was pushed to do this again because we are facing at risk our democracy as we know it, the freedoms that we so enjoy as we know it, are all being threatened. I sat here and I listened to everyone else, and I heard someone refer to 2025 as a federal issue, and I will address it.
Thank you very much. Representative Ralph Norman's duties in Washington prevented him from being with us this evening. In accordance with the guidelines established for this forum, Representative Norman provided a statement. These are his words. Dear friends, I'm sorry I could not be with you in person this evening. The U.S. House of Representatives is currently in session, so I'm up in Washington, D.C. this week. But I appreciate the opportunity to submit this letter outlining my positions and values as we head toward the election this November. I've been asked to keep this letter to just a few minutes, which is not easy. I'm confident most of you know me as a strong conservative Republican, both fiscally and socially. Given my time constraints, I feel the best path this evening is to simply highlight my opponent's stated positions right from her website and compare those with what I believe. Illustrating stark contrasts is sometimes the most effective way to deliver a powerful message, and that's certainly the case here. For starters, my opponent is calling for universal health care. In other words, a healthcare system that is controlled entirely by the federal government. I believe this would be an unmitigated disaster. While there are certainly improvements to be made to help improve patient outcomes and reduce costs, a government takeover for which she advocates would have the exact opposite effect. I'm strongly opposed to her position on universal health care. My opponent says she believes descendants of the Black people who were enslaved in America deserve reparations. Friends, slavery was abolished in America almost 160 years ago. I cannot imagine a more divisive policy than to take money from people today who have never owned slaves and give it to others based on their skin color who themselves have never been enslaved. Speaking of retribution, my opponent also says she wants forgiveness of student loan debt. First of all, she's not forgiving anything. That money has to come from somewhere. What we're really talking about is transferring those loans from people who borrowed that money and received an education to those who did not, you, the taxpayer. I believe this is highly immoral, and on multiple occasions over the last 2 years, the Supreme Court has ruled this unconstitutional. Next, concerning states' rights, my opponent says she wants to abolish the Electoral College. With all due respect, there are clear reasons this was established by our founding fathers in the Constitution. Nothing would do more damage to South Carolina and our citizens in national elections than for us to forfeit the Electoral College. This would enable densely populated liberal cities to easily impose their values on us here in South Carolina. It's an outrage. Also concerning are her positions on illegal immigration. My opponent claims she's in favor of shutting down the border, but only after illegal crossings exceed 2,500 people per day. Friends, that's approaching 1 million illegal crossings per year. She says she's in favor of a pathway to citizenship for those here illegally. We're talking about people who have broken our immigration laws and jumped the line. My opponent is also in favor of expanding asylum limits, which have been widely exploited by illegal migrants. I'm strongly opposed to her positions on illegal immigration and will continue to do everything within my power to fight Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's open border policies. We need a secure border now. The list goes on. Please don't take my word for any of this. Every bit of this information is available on her website and archived permanently throughout the internet. These are not South Carolina values. As for me, I have several priorities in Congress which I will continue to pursue in equally important order. These include reducing government spending, getting our budget balanced, and paying down our massive $35 trillion federal debt. Our future generations are in danger if we cannot get our fiscal house in order. Securing the border, supporting law enforcement and military, protecting our Second Amendment rights, strengthening America's position on the global stage, which has been severely weakened over the last 4 years. It is an honor to represent you all in Congress, and I'm asking you for your vote on November the 5th, because I believe strong conservative leadership is needed in Washington now more than ever. We will now begin with our 5 questions. All right. Question number 1. What do you think are the biggest issues facing your district, and what have you been doing to prepare yourself to deal with these problems if you are elected?
Okay. So, you just heard Ralph Norman go down what he saw on my website without being present or making other means to be here. He can sometimes fly away to New York City and wear a red tie whenever he feels like it, but for some reason, I know he's in session, but also they were in session that day too. So priorities, and there's technology, so I think he could have been here. I do find that that was an unfair attack, him not being able to be here to answer questions, but I stand by every single thing that's on my website. Because what I want to do for my district is what I want to see done for the people in South Carolina. And we, sitting in a congressional seat, have the power to do that. But what I would like to see right now, keeping up with the times that we are in, is I want to see lower cost for the people in our state, lowering their cost of living. I would like to also, besides lowering the cost of living, I want to see us have stronger and better health care. And yes, health care for all. We are the only nation in all of the advanced nations that are in the world that don't do that for their citizens. And yet we're the richest nation in the world who doesn't do that for their citizens. So absolutely, yes, I want universal health care.
Thank you so much. That's into question 1. Question number 2, remember 1 minute for each one. With many families struggling to find affordable and reliable child care, what policies would you support to increase access to quality child care services, and how would you ensure these services are affordable for all families?
Pass the permanent child care tax credit. From a federal level, that is what I can do. I hear the struggles every day from families who cannot afford health care. I even heard, I think one of the Republican state house reps mentioned that one of the biggest issues they hear that would help the people in this state is child care. So we've got to do better. And from a federal standpoint, I would just pass that permanent child care tax credit so that that helps people afford child care.
Question number 3. What will you do to lower the cost of living for working families and individuals?
Well, first thing I would do is work with the hopefully Democratic majority in Congress to pass the anti-gouging laws, because there are companies who are making trillions of dollars, money hand over foot, and yet still charging you more than you should be charged. So for that is one of the main things that I would do. And also, what was the rest of that question, sir?
What would you do? What would you do to lower the cost of living for working families and individuals?
Oh, we need affordable housing. For one, my background is a developer and 20 years next year, a residential builder. So I understand the cost of housing. I've used the grants. I would support Kamala Harris's plan to build 3 million more homes, affordable homes, and offer that $25,000 grant to people who need it, because I've used it for the people that I've helped get homes, and that's the only way they could afford it.
Thank you so much. Question number 4. What would you do to bridge the discord between parties?
One more time.
Sure. What would you do to bridge the discord between the political parties?
To raise the discord?
What would you do to bridge the discord between political parties?
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not hearing. Say it.
That's okay. What would you do to bridge the
bridge? That's the
discord
okay.
between
yes,
political
okay.
parties?
That was the only word, guys. It was bridge. Okay. To bridge the discord between parties? Well, first we have to know truth, hear the truth, speak the truth, live the truth, and that's the beginning of getting bridging that discord. Because once we can agree on a certain set of facts, then we can start to negotiate and do right by our people. So first we have to just have a certain establishment of facts and truth, and that be the primary thing. And then listen to each other. Just listen and see what the needs are of the people that are around us, and find ways, even when we disagree, to come together for the greater good, and not just be a one-size-fits-all, supermajority, one way of doing things kind of nation. We need definitely two parties that can work together. But unfortunately, in this state, we have a supermajority of Republicans. So it's kind of hard.
Thank you so much. Question number 5. If elected, what is one piece of legislation you would prioritize and advocate for in the next 2 years?
There are several. And again, with a majority Democratic House, the first thing we're going to do is codify Roe v. Wade into law, so that this whole argument and question about women's bodily autonomy stops being litigated in public. I'm sick and tired of that GOP-led divisive issue, number 1. So I would pass the Roe v. Wade, or I would send the bill to Kamala to sign it into law, number 1. Number 2, then we would again do the permanent child care tax credit, so that families can afford their child care. Again, pass the bill to lower the gouging prices. I would pass the bill to secure voting rights, the John Lewis Act. Pass the bill to reduce inflation. So there is so much that we can do and that can be done in my first couple years with a strong majority Democratic Party.
That will wrap up the 5 questions. We will now give you 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks again, everyone, for having this event. I thank the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce, and I thank the newspaper, Lancaster newspaper, and for each and every one of you who I look forward to representing. It's time that South Carolinians, and especially in this district, start hearing a yes. When I hear my opponent say that he's a conservative fiscal Republican, well, why is it that under Republican leadership, we always have the highest deficits? Why is it that under Democratic leadership, we have the highest job creation? Why is it that under Republican leadership, there seems to always be some economic explosion or mismanagement of a health crisis, while under Democratic leadership, we have a lot of progress. We produce jobs, we are good for the economy, we actually pass infrastructure. The many times that I heard these state reps and senators talk about infrastructure, I got news for y'all, that's federal money. Because if it were done just by state money, then it would have been done already. But it hasn't. So they are utilizing money from the Infrastructure Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, and that's Infrastructure and Jobs Act, let me be clear. Inflation Reduction Act, the PACT Act, all of those are bills that your great congressman who cares about this state, Ralph Norman, voted against. He voted against fixing roads, bridges. So I would say yes to fixing roads and bridges, yes to women's rights, yes to better health care. It's gonna be a while before we get universal health care. So while I might want it all I want, guess what? I can't do it by myself. And so we'll have to come together. And if someone comes to the table with an equally good idea and we can just lower the cost, my plan is to lower our costs so that we can all be healthier, wealthier, and wiser.
Thank you very much. Candidate for U.S. I'm going to remind everyone about there will be a ballot question, several ballot questions on your ballot this year. The November 5th ballot in Lancaster County will feature 3 questions actually for voters to consider. The ballot will ask voters 2 questions related to raising the sales tax to widen and improve local roads with a $405 million special sales and use tax referendum. Voters will also be asked to consider a $588 million school bond referendum, which will raise property taxes to pay for new schools and improvement. There is information on each of these questions there's information on each of these questions included on your program tonight. More details are available on the QR code as well. It has certainly been my pleasure to serve as your moderator for tonight's important candidate forum, and I hope each of you will take the opportunity to vote early or vote in November's election. Now we're going to bring forward Jane Alford, editor for the Lancaster News, to provide some closing comments.
Good evening. I just want to say thank you to Lucas McFadden for being our moderator tonight. I think he did a great job. Can we give him a round of applause? I'd also like to thank our timekeepers, Christy Ross and Lyndon O'Neill from the Lancaster News, as well as our police officer here who's been providing security tonight. Should we give them a round of applause? I just want to thank all of the candidates who came out tonight and took their time to answer our questions and to just let you know where they stand on the issues and give you a better idea of who to vote for when you go to vote this November. I also want to thank everyone who came out to hear the candidates. I'm happy that you are taking part in the political process. And I just encourage everybody to, no matter who you support, Republican, Democrat, Independent, even our nonpartisan candidates, the most important thing is that you go vote. Whether you go vote early, whether you vote absentee, or whether you vote on election day. Be sure to go vote. This concludes tonight's candidates forum. And on behalf of all of those who brought you tonight's forum, I wish you a good night and drive safely home. Thank you.